On today, bro.
Oh, of course, man. Thank you guys. How you doing?
Yo, doing well, man. Happy New Year. Good to meet you.
Yes, Happy New Year.
In person, you know what I'm saying? Or really not in person, but like, virtual, but like face to face, bro. Um, really appreciate you, man, pulling up.
Of course.
Julio, give me 2 seconds.
Good,
All
Ezra.
right. I am at the ready with the first track queued up whenever you got me. So I'm looking at my other screen. All right, I see people starting to pull up. Let's go. Let's get it.
Yep, you on? You live?
Am I?
Hide they box cutters and other tools they use to injure one another. More murals and funerals, more crying mothers. They never truly learn what they meant to one another. The subtle hateful messages sent to one another. Failure to repay funds they lent to one another leads to brother killing brother. I seen humans born from the same mother plotting scheme to murder each other. It's not black on black crime, it's just crime. It just happened to be blacks involved with that crime at that time. Don't let them change up the narrative. It's the new narrative. Progressive, powerful, the zoo narrative. Take it from Christopher. I shift the uplift, the listener. Share gift like rare piff, pole positioner. Delegate and administrate the commissioner. Fight sinister to free all political prisoners. The butters.
Straight from the gutters, rusty razor, open your cheekbone. Lizzie bag, scammer thought, credit card cheat code. The butters. We not paying that retail. Yap a whole rack, hit the hood for the resale. Poor, so we steal, plus we live for the thrill. Hevel Square, Bloomingdale's, Broadway to Ville. Boosting and racking, tear through Manhattan. Hood stars with gem stars in premium fashion. Pony hair suede outerwear on some next. Wow. Big homie got security under pressure. Run up in the outlets, layer up, hit the exit. Purple label, cashmere, exotic and precious out of hand. 96, 30 deep, Sherpa sheet, color of noodles. Over low snow beach, I'm not playing. These mac and cheese Tim stay scuffless. In this prison of material lusters, the butter.
Yo, yo, yo. Happy Sunday, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in to a special episode of Dubbin in the Crates. I am your boy Olivier, aka the Dubkivist. And unless you've been living under a rock for the past, I don't know, 10, 11 months, this is Dubbin in the Crates. This is the show where we take a look at the history and we take a look at and explore the history of the EOW family. Through this virtual space, through this virtual realm. As always, we pay homage to our brother, our dearly departed brother, Jason Vice versus Williams. Throw up your V's. Vice passed away back in April of 2020, and this space became kind of like an organic, living, breathing embodiment of his legacy. And as people throughout time have always done, they've recorded their history either through written or spoken form. And thanks to the advent of the internet, we now have this virtual space to kind of document our history and tell our stories. If you've been a fan or if you've been a viewer of the show before, tonight's format is going to be a little bit different from what we've done in the past. We have with us, if you've seen or caught wind of any of the marketing or promo, I should say, and tonight is a special episode that we are entitling E-Low Dub, as in low polo. And we are honored and privileged to have with us as our guest the illustrious Ezra Wine, who is a world-renowned polo collector, purveyor to the stars, and I guess like an all-around good guy, man. Ezra, welcome, bro.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here, man. Oh, before I continue, I apologize, man. We are,
Okay.
as always, sponsored by the Four City Brewery out of Orange, New Jersey, specifically the Diversity Brew IPA, which was brewed in honor of, again, our fallen brother, Jason Vice versus Williams. How are you, sir?
Good to be here. What's happening? Happy New Year. Yeah, glad to be here. Glad to
Thank
talk
you.
about some polo and hang out with you guys for a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So I've been doing, Julio presented me with this idea a while back, and I thought it was a tremendous idea, tremendous opportunity. and as a result, and in doing my kind of like research to prepare, I got to know a little bit about you, obviously through what I read online and things of that nature. But in your own words, if you would, man, tell us a little bit about kind of like you, what you do, what you like how you got started, like what's your history, man, if you could.
Yeah, yeah, totally. What can I say? I'm a native New Yorker. I grew up downtown in Soho. I used to hang with Julio and a bunch of mutual friends over at like
Sorry about
Thompson
that.
Park. What's that?
I said sorry about that.
Yeah, no. But yeah, just growing up in New York. I mean, I'm 40 at this point, so definitely was in high school in the 90s, and was definitely somebody who just was always really into 90s fashion, from the 90s, from the early 90s. So as soon as 92, 93, just that era, that style, funky clothes, and I definitely fell for polo from the first time I kind of saw it, but definitely gravitated towards. I had an older brother, so he kind of put me on a little bit. But yeah, just gravitated towards these funky print graphic polo items that Ralph was making in the early 90s, everything from 87 to 94, the ski series, and everything from the 92 stadium stuff to Snow Beach, RL 2000. And yeah, so basically just been collecting for years, buying and selling all these years. And then in like early 2000s, started custom making some pieces, kind of taking old polo fabric. Obviously, I've done a ton of stuff with the bed sheets, the Polo Bear bed sheets over the years. So really just, having fun with collecting these artifacts and these sort of hip hop antiques that I love myself, and I was wearing it in high school and still want to wear it now, and it's sporty and it's preppy. But then at the same time, I also try to kind of started a little clothing line, which definitely started off as a little bit of a hobby, but then kind of turned into something a little more, just making hats and tees and now masks because of COVID.
Definitely. Yeah, no, absolutely, man. And I'll definitely broach that subject with you in a little bit. But in doing my research, so you copped your first polo piece at 15 years old.
Yeah, definitely. And that would be like my first like actual like piece, something with like a graphic, something that was like that said polo on it, not just but yeah, right around then, what was probably went to the outlets with my brother or whatever, Woodbury Commons, as many of us would frequent.
Woodbury.
Yeah,
100%.
And but I was also, that would be, I guess, that would be around 94, 95. And obviously Tommy Hilfiger was really big. So there were a lot of other brands that we were messing with, but polo was definitely like what we wanted. And yeah, that's definitely when it first started.
Do you remember what the first piece was?
So, I mean, at that time, I would say what I considered the first like piece, because again, among like low heads, we got all these little terminology of like, if it's a horsey shirt, it's a cool shirt, but it's not a piece. But yeah, the first piece that I would consider having was just a simple red rugby with this little zipper on the collar, and it just said U.S. Polo, and that was actually something that I guess that was not like a Woodbury Commons piece. That was actually something that I got from, again, kind of this black market that existed at that time that I was, some of my friends and we were trying to get into the market. So yeah, you would meet. I had some friends who went to a different high school, and yeah, would wind up doing trades or just buying outright, vintage clothing from these guys' collections. But yeah, so that was my first item.
Right. So you mentioned trades, right? Has most of your collection been amassed through trade or copying or boosting? Have you ever boosted? Like, what's the deal? Talk to us.
Yeah, I mean, definitely in high school. Yeah, my friends and I, we were definitely we would take a few things, but very few. I feel like that's what's funny about my era was like we would go to Macy's in 95 and 96, and yeah, sure, at the time we wanted those pieces, and that was not part of the whole polo sport era. But even then, it's like there was something missing, and the pieces that were missing were like the actual Polo Bear sweaters or the whole Snow Beach collection, like the fact that none of that was in store, we were, we were kind of forced to kind of go into this black market, or as eBay kind of got a little, got some notoriety as far as like 98, 99. So I was definitely, I did get a bunch of things through trades in that mid 90s period. I remember doing like trades in Brooklyn train stations with a few heads back then. And
That's risky
at
business.
the time, I mean, that was the culture though. But no, at the time it was a lot of like, at the time I had bought so much Tommy Hilfiger through the years that I would trade, a few Tommy Hilfiger pieces to get like one Polo Bear sweater. So there was a lot of that, based on different values. But yeah, it was a little bit of trades back then, but over the years, it kind of did turn into a lot of just straight purchasing once like the 2000s hit.
Yeah, who was foolish enough to trade some Tommy pieces for some Polo pieces? Like who?
Yeah, I mean, back then it was I guess they liked the idea of getting like 4 shirts instead of 1.
Yeah.
But nowadays, I mean, now Tommy's having a comeback, and all these brands are having a comeback, especially for those vintage items that were loud and graphic.
No, 100%. I actually have a trade horror story. Yeah. It's and it's been made even more potent for me, like the ruefulness and the regret that I have over executing this trade. And it was in high school, so I'm just a couple of years older than you.
Right.
And had a friend who was a heavy low life back then, and I had the Polo cycle hat, which I know you have in the collection, right? The famous cycle hat. And I'm a big color guy, right? So the brighter it is, the better for me, you know what I'm saying? And my homie had the USA fleece, which I know the USA fleece stretch back, which I know is in your collection as well. And he was fiending to trade me for the cycle hat, right? And I was refusing to do so until he was like, you know what? I'll throw in the USA hat and the USA polo. And I was like, okay, all right, cool. Like, 2 for 1. But fast forward 25 years later, bro, and I'm kicking myself every day about that trade, man.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying, yeah, it's like, I mean, there are things we wanted back then and a look, and maybe you wanted the set, but yeah, it's hard to figure out like what was going to be the really rare things that you couldn't find, so it's sure. But yeah, we all have regrets of sellers' regrets
that got away. Yeah,
regrets.
For sure, man. So let me ask you a question. I don't know if I don't know who, if the people out there watching, I don't know who is more intimately familiar with you or whatnot. 2 years ago was the 50th anniversary of the founding of Polo Ralph Lauren, right? You had a feature in was the feature regarding that was in Vogue magazine, correct?
Yeah.
So you were at the time for the 50th anniversary, I guess Vogue was reaching out to a bunch of different entities and people, and you were putting your collection up.
Yes.
For $1 million. Is that a factual statement? That is a factual statement.
So basically, I was working with my friend Joe, who at the time was running Fancy.com, which is this. It's hard to kind of explain what they do, but it's high-end retail. It's a website that sold some high-end products, and sort of it was a combination of wanting to put something, do something with this high-end website that was selling luxury goods, and then also in conjunction with the 50th anniversary. So we basically did this one night only like art gallery exhibit where I had basically gotten my collection down to just like 100 like really special pieces that just the best of the best, and I basically had said, all right, well let's put this 100 piece collection for sale as a full collection, put it like on their site, and then have this exhibit, just like a one night only art exhibit. And that was cool, just to get the press, just to kind of put the word out there. Definitely wanted to do it we also did it like just a week and a half right before Polo had come out with their own stadium retro collection. So we were kind of trying to like, jump the gun a
Capitalize on
little
some of
bit,
the fervor a little bit.
capitalize on some of on that. And then also, it was a combo of like celebrating the 50th anniversary of Polo, celebrating 25th anniversary of the whole 1992 collection, because 1992 has become this
Amazing,
very important year for hip hop music. And in addition, just like every, so many pieces of clothing that Polo made that year just have become like, these collector's items. Everything from like a t-shirt to a hat to anything that just says Polo 1992 has become like, it's just gold. But yeah, so that was a cool exhibit, and it was good to just put the story out there and let people know who might not know the history of Polo collectors and lowheads.
Really, yeah, absolutely. Really quickly, did you sell the collection its entire? Did you get the million?
No. Still available. Still trying to. I mean, in all honesty, there's I really feel like the Polo brand themselves, based on what I've heard from their archives, I feel like they would be the one place who should buy it, or I would want them to buy it. But yeah, no, it's still available. So still, because then a year after that, then we did another exhibit with the guys from Public School, Dowie and Maxwell, and that was a little less about selling the collection, but again, just trying to just talk about the culture. And again, the collection was out up for display, and again, kind of this like trying to sort of like an art gallery space, an art gallery exhibition of the pieces, sort of fashion exhibition. But yeah, just trying to like just continue to tell the story about the culture and just how interesting it is, because it really is like the birth of streetwear as I see it. It was something that happened so organically, the way people like myself and my generation, but even more than that, the people before me, you know what I mean, just the originators of this whole thing from the late 80s, who the Lowlives and Thurston Howell and that whole movement, and just so many movements within that, and people that are a little older than myself, just kind of, as I see it, they created streetwear, and nobody's really made that statement, but I think it's very important to say, because people love to talk about Virgil and the sneaker world, and that's all important, and that's all part of the growth. But I really feel like, the Lowlives doing what they did, I really feel like they created streetwear, and that's a $1 billion industry right now. So
100%, man. Before a little bit before coming on air, I was kind of talking to some of the people that are in the audience right now, and one of the earliest fashion and music and fashion have always been at an intersection with one another, as I'm sure and in your experience, and I'll come to that in a hot second. They've always been synonymous, especially within the hip hop culture. Bragging has always been a major part of what MCs do. And so one of the first references that I could recall was I'm talking like 87, probably, Slick Rick saying, I got the Johnson's baby powder and the Polo cologne, right?
Yes. Exactly.
So for you, from your perspective, what was one of those kind of like first references for you where like Ralph Lauren and hip hop culture became synonymous? And then once you answer that, I'll segue into some of the people that you've worked with on that side of things.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely remember the Slick Rick shout out. I mean, Slick Rick in general, the Gucci mentions, like all of these things. I definitely remember, being a 12-year-old kid or whatever, and hearing that and being like, okay, like you start to, understand. Luckily, I mean, hip hop is so fluid in the sense that it's like here, like from a song from a certain era, from a certain year, you'll hear brand shout outs and kind of like just they're telling you what they want. Yeah. But yeah, so for me, I think it was definitely, Grand Poopa wearing the Alpine rugby, which was really just something that you would see on MTV. you know, and even things like that were a little more like small at the time, like you had Jiggy with Toss It Up, kind of full music videos, just and shout out to Prance Lowe, who's a friend of mine. He was one of the background dancers in that in those videos. And you know, those were just videos that were like full of like, you know, you'd have 100 low pieces like in the video, worn by various people. But so for me, definitely the Grand Poobah moment was definitely a moment. And again, that probably happened in '93. Like, you know, it was a little, it wasn't '87 because again, I was a little too young to be, you know, chasing those circle ski vests at 7 years old. But but looking back, yeah, I mean, definitely, you know, those are some great pieces.
For sure. So I just mentioned a moment ago, in your capacity as sort of this like world-renowned kind of collector, you have had the fortune and I would imagine pleasure, right, of outfitting you know, some of who we consider the biggest stars in the music industry today, specifically like Chris Brown and Kanye West. I was, you know, in doing my research on you, I saw the video where my brother Mike B pulled up on your
Yes.
showroom.
Yes.
So who was the first, like which one of those kind of collaborations, you know, like that came to your table? Like what was the first, because I know you've outfitted Chris Brown, I know you've outfitted Kanye. What was like your first and most memorable or most memorable one with respect to outfitting somebody?
Yeah. I mean, that was yeah, I've been fortunate enough to do a few deals and kind of be a stylist at times. So yeah, basically back in around, I want to say around 2003, I had met this guy named Success, who is from Chicago. Shout out to Success, who's doing big things in the music business in general.
Sure.
And yeah, so basically Kanye's first album had just come out, and I saw that Kanye was wearing some of the newer Polo Bear sweaters. So I had reached out to Success and kind of physically reached out, like, you know, just met him at like a concert. This was, you know, the internet was not, or Instagram was not where it needed to be. But basically I had reached out just kind of saying, I've been collecting all these pieces. I'm hoarding these pieces. I'm, you know, carrying various sizes, you know, medium, large, XL. So anyway, so yeah, basically I was saying I have, you know, the older Bear sweaters, the Indian head sweaters, the Ski 92s, like all these pieces. So he had put me in touch with Kanye West to, you know, basically to purchase some of these things, or, you know, some things that I was only open to renting. Success also had a connection to Fabulous at the time, or kind of still does. So, you know, Fabulous I met a few times. Kanye had met a few times as well. And in that summer of 03, 04, that they were, yeah, they were purchasing, you know, multiple pieces from my own collection. Obviously, I most likely rebought those same pieces, like, you know, within that year. If I didn't already have it, you know, I really wasn't trying to, like, you know, I wasn't trying to cash out. I wasn't trying to sell and be done. I was like, okay, well, these are my favorite items as well. So, you know, I was selling them Indian heads and various Polo tennis items. I met and I did some deals with Just Blaze as well at that time. And the Kanye pieces, I saw a few photos of, like, over the course of a few years. But I'd say one cool moment was Fabulous had rented. He bought the RL 2000 Red Bear sweater, and then they had rented this the gray cashmere bear sweater, and that was all for the Baby music video, which was a, you know, also a cool moment right around 03, 04, I think it was. And like there's some really good, like, couple shots at the end of the video really showing like Fabulous, like with the girl in the hotel in the bear sweater. And then there's another scene where he has, you know, the red bear sweater, like he's, you know, laid on the couch with her. So, you know, that was cool to see. And then, yeah, a bunch of years later, Mike B had reached out, Chris Brown. They had this idea of Chris Brown was set to do the Today Show on that, like a Friday morning and it was a summer too. It didn't really make sense, but either way, he was like, we want the Raekwon, we want the Snow Beach. We think that'll be really cool if Chris Brown wears a Snow Beach jacket on the NBC Today Show. So we did that within like 12 hours, you know, did the meeting on Thursday, and then Friday morning it's on NBC. So that was cool. Yeah, really fortunate to have, you know, some of that stuff like make it on the air, because, you know, it's I like to see it, put out there and just continue the story where it's like Grand Poobah did it in '87 and Slick Rick was shouting it out in songs. And then, 30 years later, you got, newer artists who are, rocking pieces in videos. So it's just kind of shows like the longevity of polo, that it's been around, it's lasted.
Absolutely, man. So fast forward to, you're 15 years old, you begin your collection. Fast forward to now.
Yeah.
You have your own line, right?
Yeah.
And for anybody that's interested, you can find it at EzraWine.com. It's EZRAWINE.com. So if you would tell us a little bit about the genesis from that, like how long has that been in existence? And sort of like what's your shtick, like what's your MO with respect to your own collection?
Yeah, totally. Thank you. So yeah, EzraWine.com. I started making clothes right around 2003. So as a 15-year-old, I was, into Polo and Tommy and Nautica and North Face and Nike, and those were my favorite brands. And then 8 years later, right around '03, was like, okay, I want to take my love for all these brands and, again, streetwear wasn't even a term then, but people were calling it hip hop fashion or, whatever we were calling it. Either way, I just kind of had people around me were making clothes, and I always wanted to make some shirts and some hats. So I kind of took, just elements and the love of, again, those brands that I mentioned, everybody from North Face to Polo, and just wanted to make clothes. And obviously the Polo Bear has always been one of my favorite, designs and just overall look. The Polo Bear sweater or the sweatshirt, whatever I was wearing back in the '90s. But then, I had access to the Polo Bear bed sheets, as many of us did, because we would sleep on them in high school. And so I wound up getting some like brand new unopened teddy bear bed sheets and just cutting and then taking them to various tailors that I was meeting in like the garment center. So we would make everything from hats to the button-down shirts, and now obviously I do a lot of like pocket tees. I obviously grabbed some merch to show, random little pieces. But yeah, so the pocket tees have been fun, and I'd like to say that they're sort of useful just to keep little items that we need. But yeah, so it's been fun. Definitely doing like 5-panel hats. I like to do everything with a little inspiration from the original pieces that got me into fashion to begin with. Cause, I've always been interested in fashion, but I was never interested in the suits or, like what we used to consider like traditional men's tailoring. And, and I went to FIT and, again, this was, but even then, early 2000s, it was like, even, professors at FIT and people kind of in the fashion world were starting to see this, like, this changeover from the like, men's fashion was no longer about a white button up in the black suit. It's like, that's still there, but there's also this huge $1 billion market for more sportier clothing. So yeah, making a lot of pocket tees and just various, print pieces. Like we took the Yellow Bear fabric and made these shorts. I can open them up and show some of these things. And then obviously we started making masks this year. These have been a big hit for us.
I was just going to mention, so GQ did a feature on you recently.
Yes.
Owing to obviously the COVID pandemic, like everyone's, the mask has become this item that is indispensable, unfortunately, for all of our existences and for all of our, we hope, prolonged health and longevity. What came first, the feature? Well, rather, I should say, who approached you? Like, how did that happen? How did that like come about? You obviously started making the masks, and then GQ reached out. Like, what was the story there?
Yeah, so I mean, in general, like I've definitely been at the point of like just kind of turning the Polo Bear into everything. Like I made a Polo Bear couch just for my apartment so I can, sleep on. And I was, again, making Polo Bear pocket tees or a Polo Bear hat or, Polo Bear pants, if people want those. So definitely was doing, various items. But yeah, so basically I work with, I'm thankful to work with some really quality local tailors who work in Brooklyn, who work out of Brooklyn. So I started approaching them, talking about making masks, and yeah, we started making masks. So I had already made, 20, 30 like bear masks like this one, like when the GQ article came out. So what I should say is, this guy, a writer from GQ named Cam, had reached out to me and was basically saying that they were doing an article about fashion masks and kind of this, what was happening during COVID. And so I had worked with, then that's the pleated version. So basically we had made, so we were making masks, like friends of mine were buying them, and we had them on a site. And that's when this guy Cam had reached out and was saying that they were doing, they wanted to show, highlight a few print masks and kind of tell the story. And I was just trying to, tell my story that, made in New York, made in Brooklyn, polo bear masks. So yeah, Cam was lucky, thankful enough to, use the photos we had sent in, and just, tell a little bit about our story. And yeah, we were thankful enough to get a bunch of orders from various people around the world. So glad to keep everybody safe with the masks this year, because at some point in May, when it was, everybody should wear masks, that was the announcement.
Sure.
Yeah, we tried to jump right in and make as many as we could.
So I wanted to do a quick little sort of like a word association, but more of a multiple choice with you before I segue into the next portion of this evening's program. So real quick, I'm just going to throw these things at you, right? And you tell me your quick answer, right?
Word association, that's what we're doing? Okay.
Yeah, kind of. It's more of like a multiple choice style. So P-wing or Indian head?
Indian head.
Okay, very cool. Indian head. All right. 5-panel or long bill?
Long bill.
Yeah, me too. Me too, dude. Me too. Classic polo green bottle or polo sport?
Polo sport.
Really?
Yeah.
Not your dad's cologne, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. No, I love the polo sport. It's sweet, but I wear it.
So last one, right? And this is I'm gonna try to get something up on the screen here really quickly before I throw it at you. This is more of like what's your preference with respect to shopping, kind of, right? So Bloomies or Nordstrom?
Bloomies or Nordstrom? I'll go Bloomingdale's.
Bloomingdale's. Okay.
Yeah.
Why Bloomingdale's?
I don't know. I guess over the years, I know I didn't go to Nordstrom a lot. I know I've gone to the new Nordstrom store, this one on 57th Street, and it's cool. But yeah, I guess I guess I'm pretty nostalgic, with a lot of this stuff. I go to Bloomingdale's now or this year, and I'm reminded of what it was like to go to Bloomingdale's in '96 and see totally different pieces and have no money to buy any of this stuff, but if you could figure out a way to get $40, you might be able to get, the t-shirt that you wanted.
For sure, man. So I am sharing right now on the screen a photograph from your Instagram account. And I got to tell you, like, for me personally, I've, number one, I went to Brooklyn Tech, right?
Yes.
So I was there, like I was in like that fertile, like low lives grounds, you know what I'm saying? When all of that was happening. And I can remember, hearing stories and even seeing some of like my schoolmates coming back from Macy's after like a boosting trip, right, at the Albee Square Mall, you know what I'm saying? And so from a very like early on age, I have been referring to this man, the gentleman pictured with you in the photograph, as Uncle Ralph.
Yes.
And for a person who considers themselves a low head and a collector, this image to me is almost like meeting God in the flesh, right? Like,
yes.
How was that experience for you? Like, how was he as a like, how was that? Like, did you speak with him? Please, man, expound on the experience.
Yeah, no, it was an honor to meet Mr. Ralph Lauren, definitely somebody who we've all been thinking about all these years. It was, it was an honor. I was nervous. I didn't, looking back, it's like, I even wrote something for High Snobiety kind of talking about how, there were so many questions that I wish I could have asked, but unfortunately I was a little nervous. So I really just got to say, thank you for all that you've done. It's an honor to meet you. This was at the premiere HBO. They did this HBO screening of Very Ralph, and Ralph and his family were there, and a lot of other people were there. So, I'm definitely grateful to get the invite. I'm grateful to have, gotten 10 seconds to like squeeze in between his other photo ops that he was doing at the after, drink reception. But well, let's see what happened. I'm trying to remember. I went over to him and I said, it's an honor to meet you. I'm a huge admirer of your clothing. I had the bear sweater on, as you can see. And I think he said something like, "Oh, I can see," he saw it too. But yeah, I was looking back. I remember being like, I should have asked him about, and again, some of the stuff I've already read his opinion about, but I would have wanted to hear it direct about like, why the polar bear and what is a snow beach and like where all these ideas came from. Only because, he, as a designer, he'll talk about, 50 years of making, Oscar, dresses that women wear to the Oscars. And he'll talk about, just, bigger ideas, or just the wide tie and all these different things that he's done. But, we haven't heard like a specific opinion from Ralph about like, about the low lives and low heads and what he might think about, these items that are, funky and flashy and bright and graphic that are like, in my mind, like they don't look like things that he would wear, but, who knows? But it was an honor to meet him, and it was just 10 or 20 seconds. And shout out to my fiance Randy for taking the photo. Because
shout out Randy, big shout to Randy.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it was cool to meet him, and I'd like to meet him again to ask him some of those follow-up questions that we've all been wondering about.
Yeah, man, I do want to give you props for the genius subtle promo for having your 5-panel.
Yes, exactly. Yes,
right.
Exactly.
There's no such thing as bad self-promotion, man. And
it was
that.
No, I was gonna say, it was an honor to be there. I was wearing the hat, and then I guess. I mean, I wasn't thinking clearly. I was talking to a legend. So sure, maybe I could have had the hat on, but hat in hand is okay.
All good. Yo, you referenced sort of like a curiosity with respect to like what are his opinions with respect to the low lives and sort of like this kind of like cross-cultural phenomenon that is the low. But I will say one thing, to his credit, he has never made the fatal error of saying something like what Tommy did years ago, where he was like, I don't make my clothes for a certain segment of the population, man. But
right.
So yeah, man, so kudos to him, bro, and again, thank you for pulling up. Very quickly, I'm gonna segue into sort of another a next segment, man, and I hope you'll stay with us. So if you hadn't noticed, if you've been looking kind of like at the gallery at all, you'll see that the EOW family is littered literally with low fiends, bro. I myself, you know what I'm saying, am one of those, as you can see. You know what, that's one last word association,
and everyone got the royal blue, or a few of us got the royal blue memo. So
shout out
to royal blue, just my favorite color.
Yeah, hands down, bro, hands down. Last one that I want to throw at you, with respect, you know what, rather not really throw at you, but I wanted to ask your opinion. Would you consider yourself more of a polo purist, or do you like dabble in some of the other things like rugby or double RL, and some of his offshoot kind of like brands?
Yeah, I will say I'm a polo purist. I have a great deal of respect and admiration for double RL. And I find that stuff to be so well made, and I love the fact that most of the double RL collection that I see in store has the Made in USA tag. Everything that I've made over the years has been or 99% of what I've made is made in USA. So I've always appreciated that. And, just to feel like a double RL t-shirt reminds me of, some of the high quality goods that were coming out in the early 90s.
Right.
Whereas, some of the newer stuff from Polo Blue Label, sometimes I'm not in love with those pieces. And then, Polo Rugby, or the rugby store as well. I definitely used to go to that store. But yeah, all in all, I feel like I've only purchased, one or two like double RL items, and maybe like one or two rugby items, versus Polo Blue Label, where I'm definitely purchasing. I've purchased thousands of those items.
So last question before I transition to kind of like the next segment. Chaps.
Yeah, I mean, when I was in ninth grade, we had somebody make a joke to us that Chaps could have had a polo shirt, which I thought was an awesome anagram.
I wanted you to say
it. No, it's but and yeah, we definitely felt that, we agreed, and I don't think I have not purchased or worn a Chaps item. But with that said, over the years with eBay, just like visually, friends of mine will post pictures of pieces, and there are some, it was a collection where you did see a lot of interesting graphics that they were making. So there's a lot of, I don't know if it's tennis or boating or just various like funky multicolor shirts with like a full all over print that happened to be made by Chaps. So looking back, I'm like, okay, that was cool. Or like, one or two like 5-panel hats that, just happen to have the Chaps logo, that a few friends of mine like will wear and are into. So, it's no disrespect to it. It wasn't for me at the time, but yeah, I will say, looking back, it's like, okay, like that was a cool item. And I guess, we were very, not only brand loyal, but logo loyal. And we really just wanted to be, we wanted to be with the Blue Label and not with the side offshoot.
Yo, 100%, man. Yo, and again, I appreciate your time, bro. I'm with you, man. I have to admit that I did cop. There were the relative few Chaps pieces that I owned throughout my sort of relationship with Ralph. Even though he has no idea that we're in a relationship together. But he is my family. He is my uncle, man. At this time, man, thank you so much. I'd like to bring in into the conversation. Absolutely. And please hang out with us, man, because
I'm hanging.
We got some people in here who you actually probably know.
Yes.
And we're gonna talk. There'll be like a kind of like an open forum a little bit later before we wrap up. I do want to bring in my brother Big Zoo. Come off mute, my friend. Welcome into tonight's programming.
Yes, Rich.
My man Zoo. This is a superior low head within the EOW family. This man's collection kind of puts me to shame again. Like before we came on air tonight, I was kind of cracking jokes about how extensive this man's collection is, and I made the joke that like he might pull out a toothpick and it'll have a polo bear on the end, man. But if you paid attention, I know you did. My brother Zoo just dropped the album on December 18th, which is entitled "No Be So Fierce." The song "The Butters" that I played at the top of the segment or the top of the episode is one of the tracks off of there, which is immediately followed by a brilliant interlude, if you will, of his daughter Maya, young Queen Maya, begging Daddy to allow her to spend part of her check on her
Pine Green ones
for sure, man. So Zoo, thank you for being with us, man. Thank you. I know that you have no qualms and make no bones about talking about the album, man. And if you'll bear with us, if everybody out there will bear with us for a second, I want to play, and Ezra, I would like to get your opinion on this track a little bit later on. But ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't heard it by now, which I kind of want to fight you if you haven't, but this is Sauce It Up off of the No Beast So Fierce album.
Let's go. Ezra was talking about a lot of these topics.
Indeed, he
Talked
was.
about
Well,
Jiggy. Yeah.
can we hear it? We all good?
Hey, 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 hey. Okay, hey. I'm solo. I used to go solo just to boost Molo to add to my kingdom of polo. Just a young lad trying to sauce it up. I've been rocking low before Jiggy made Toss It Up. I used to see the ads on the magazine rack though, but they had white people riding on horseback though. I wasn't really inspired by that though. See, I was more inspired by the thirst to howl and rack low. That whole era was crack though. It represented exquisite luxury, but stealing it back though. Building a nation on some reverse gentrification. The broadcasters started taking the station, teaching boosting courses. Me and none joined forces. Since then my closet turned into a stable for my horses. My goose became geeses, multicolored fleeces. Then it was cotton collar cashmere sweater when he teaches. Jesus, cop for my godkids and nieces. I'm not being facetious. My obsession borders on egregious. Exotic cookie logo hoodie pieces. I'm always early on teddy bear sweater releases. My underwear and sock game, lovely. My closet, comfy. I keep exotic logos on my rugbies. Which low should I rock next? I think I go big horse over large crest beneath the camouflage vest. Sauce it up, okay? Sauce it up, okay? We AL skills, sauce it up. Niggy long, sauce it up. Alice pen, sauce it up. I see y'all, we like to sauce it up. I see y'all, sauce it up. Boys and pen, sauce it up. PH, sauce it up. Sun low, sauce it up. I see you, bro. Yeah.
Shout out my brothers with them cop and swap hustles. It's J Biz and Tech, Tyson Beck, no muscles. But every bit is black though. My low game, Hall of Fame fat though. You can tell how my closet stacked though. Plus I stack though. Be up in Ralph's store handling. Stand still, they thinking I'm a mannequin. Purveyor or pedestrian. Everything I'm decked in equestrian. And low down toes the crown. Why would you question it?
Lizzie bag, low section, imminent domain. Liquor and cocaine, chicken and low man. Obnoxious flea, had an op shopping spree. Don't cop threes, somebody got shot for these. Monster with the pieces in the sneakers. My technique's obnoxious with the features. I'm on it, I shout homie, it's dollars and cents. I pop at the house party, follow the trip.
Sauce it up, okay? Sauce it up, okay? We love the sensei, sauce it up. Low teak, sauce it up. Unique style, sauce it up. BK, we like the sauce it up. Vintage flavors, sauce it up. We like the Polo 96, sauce it up. J sauce it up. Polo sauce it up. Hey, sauce it up. Shout out to all the polo heads worldwide. Shout out to my man Olivier. Shout out to Mayhem. I see you, bro. Yo, your man though, last time when he came to the station with me and Eclipse, your man still had that heavy snow beat sweatshirt, not the pullover. He had that sweatshirt, I see that. Shout out to all my low lives in the world. Shout out to Thurston Howell. Shout out to the Paris Polo Club. I see y'all. Shout out to the Low fam in Japan. They be having exclusives. God damn.
Yo, I don't know about
broski.
I don't know about anybody else out there, man, but that is heavy. The album in general is a banger. And yo, a super banger from top to bottom. Salute, man. I know that I've heard it. I was one of the precious few to get an exclusive listen.
That is a fact. That's a true statement.
The album is bananas top to bottom, but for our purposes here, and if you haven't, you should definitely get on whatever streaming service is yours of choice and listen to, download, support independent music, support independent hip hop, support my brother Big Zoo.
Factual statements. But
absolutely.
Yeah, to hyper focus on that record, man. First of all, I really want to salute Ezra because he was touching my low spirit. You know, he said things like Woodbury Commons. He said things like the 92 line. I frankly am older than both of you gentlemen. You know what I'm saying? So it's interesting because I talk in the song about how I saw polo ads in the magazine, but when I was turned on to polo, it wasn't seeing it on Puba when the Alpine, which was iconic, it was also hearing it in the songs. Those things you mentioned were iconic, but for me, it was literally seeing it in the flesh. It was being at parties downtown, being in Brooklyn, being in Harlem, and being with Nunzio was with me, and Low, it was popping. You know what I'm saying? I was actually in a Macy's in Lower Manhattan when Cats boosted. Like I was a customer, just Joe,
Right.
young child customer, and I saw what really happened. When dudes was racking and taking like full racks live. I was a kid, younger, but I saw it in the flesh. So that's what attracted me to it. And as I got older, I really started to extrapolate it, and I try to capture it in the song. It wasn't the ads on the magazine rack, though, right? It wasn't seeing the white people in the black suits or whatever, as Ezra said. It was seeing our culture kind of rebranded, which is in essence what Ezra's doing with his clothing
with
line,
his
right?
line for
Which is
sure.
like taking it and making it yours. But in essence, that's what I was turned on by, was the we're taking some fly shit and making it ours. You know what I
Yep.
mean? And I've been attracted to that spirit of it for my whole life. You know what I'm saying? And yes, I boosted early on. A lot of tales of that, at the lengths that we would go to acquire these pieces. I love how you were talking about the styles and the things you like too, Ezra, like the Indian head sweaters or these things. One caveat I'll add here is that I'm a big and tall guy, right? So frankly, in my younger days, maybe I wasn't this big, right? But they weren't making it to fit me, right? So as
Right.
hip hop, as Low evolved and they started making the big and tall pieces, it also happened to align with the time where me as a human, I was making like money. You know what I'm saying? I
Right.
was a I
Right.
Hmm.
was a teacher, then a dean, then a school principal, and it was like boosting was the furthest thing from my idea, and now I could really purchase the pieces. And that's how my obsession, maybe, if I'm willing to really own it, because I'm like polo mug,
You're
like i'm
obsessed.
i'm i'm burning a RL candle, like this is real.
Exactly.
I got live for y'all tonight so y'all can see. I'm head to toe low down. You know what I'm saying? From my drawers to my socks to my jeans to everything that's on my body. Like I do this. So I can, I guess, say obsession, but it started with me falling in love with the rack low in that era. Cause me
Yep.
and Nunn saw Prance Low like in the clubs. Like we were
Yep.
at spots with Jiggy.
Yeah.
We would go to clubs and see them, and the shit was because they was dancers too. They're super fly dancers.
Yep.
So frankly, at the time, we were attracted to their hip hop dancing thing, and they all was low down with like magnificent pieces. Oh, I also love how you said like the horsey, a horsey piece is like a that's like low, but it's not a piece. I
Right. Right.
I never consciously said that to myself until you did, but that is really true. Like I brought some pieces to show, and none of them are like horsey pieces. They're like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Ezra, man, is it who's working the cameras, man? Can we get Ezra back on the mainframe with Zoo and myself? Um, Ezra,
Yeah.
impressions on the track that I just played for you.
Yeah, I love that song. I heard it a few weeks back. I'm trying to remember how it was, but I guess it was put on Instagram a few weeks back, or Julio must have sent it to me direct. But
Mhm.
yeah, I love the song. I think the lyrics are great. You know what I mean? Like it literally mentions a lot of stuff that we talked about, 30 minutes ago,
Correct.
with the
Correct.
Prance shout outs and toss it up. And yeah, it is very cool to hear all that history, and it's very relatable, and obviously love the wordplay, and nah, it's a great track. I'm into it, and yeah, it's a dope song.
Perfect, man. It's unfortunate that Jay Biz and Poison Pen couldn't join us this evening because one of my favorite lines from the track in from the entire track is right where Jay Biz sets off his verse, where he's like, "Yo, shout out to all my niggas with the cop and swap hustles,"
Yep.
right? Because that's a whole, like you had to get creative, right? If you're a low life, if you're any kind of low life, you had to get creative, right? And figure out how to get it. So that, but then right after that, he goes Jay Bizatech, Tyson Beck,
Tyson Beck.
Yeah.
no
Yes.
muscles. You know what I'm saying? And like, yo, for a bar like that to hit home, like to have him on the screen
But
would
like
be
Joe,
even more
Joe,
amazing. Yeah,
right? Joe Fan might just hear the Tyson Beck and think that's like, oh, he's naming a model, but he's naming a polo model, like the
Yeah.
very
specifically.
revolutionary
Right.
polo model. When he became the model during that season, it was touted because it's like, oh shit, Ralph went black. Like they
Black.
allowing
Yep.
him to do it. And like Tyson Beckford was like next to horses with like cashmere, cowl neck sweaters on. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
they didn't cheapen him out. He was like that dude. So
Yeah.
that's a bar like within a bar. You know what I mean?
Facts, man. So how did that for you, Zoo? How does that juxtaposition, like, I would imagine, like, much like every one of us, who are people of color, like it even like further uh it created a greater need to get more polo, as far as I'm concerned. Like, do you share that
Well,
sentiment? Like,
yeah. I
because
mean,
now
I,
the
I'm
imagery
arguably
was matching up to you and your experience, I guess, your perspective, I guess.
yeah. Facts. I mean, I also want to just again not so subtly shout out Royal Blue Gang right early for everybody
Look at the
watching
screen.
tonight.
Look at the screen, and that's part of the thing,
That
yo.
was just mentally done. But yeah, the lengths to which I'll go, like I don't even like the level like that I'm at. I don't want to like make people say like get like Zoo because it's like sick how I am. You know what I'm saying? So I have a real and it is connected to that. At one point somebody joked with me, this might have been 10 years ago, and they joked like, oh, now you got money. Now you just want to like relive your teenage years like through clothes. Like that's what you want to do. But
Nah,
no,
it ain't
my
about
spirit
that.
was like, no, my spirit was like, yes. Like, yes, I do. Like that fly shit that I saw then that I thought was fly is the same fly shit. I think that shit is fly. Like when I learned of what I thought fly shit was, it was this. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So in a lot of ways, yes. Like you're not belittling me by saying that. You're making, you're saying, yes, I'm having an opportunity now because I have the finances to do so, right? I'm not
Right.
if I was like selling crack to get low pieces, you know what I'm saying? That's some other shit. But if I can purchase it and I can do my trades and go meet people and do these things, then I mean, call it my hobby, call it an inexpensive hobby, but there's a lot worse I could be doing, A, and B, it does, align with hip hop with me in that way. Like it also speaks hip hop. It's not just like when I show up with a piece on, I'm not really just waving the Ralph flag. I'm talking about hip hop as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So here's a question for both of you gentlemen. With like for Zoo, on the one hand, I know, I could attest to, the sense of community. EOW is a community. We're a global community now. I don't know, Erica, if you're aware of that, but we've got like 16 or 17 chapters around the world, and so we're a global community. But Lowheads, that's
Yeah.
a global community, right? And so
Yeah.
I'm kind of, out of just my own curiosity, as Zoo, what has been your experience with respect to finding that community, right, within like your affinity for low?
Yeah. You
Like,
could go ahead. Go first, Ezra. How you feel about that one?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Lowhead community has come a long way. I think in the early days it was a little bit of a secret society of like if you didn't have pieces or even just one piece, it was like they didn't really want to bring anybody in, which obviously makes it very difficult because it's like if you don't have one piece, then all you have is $50, and they didn't really want your $50, so it was a little confusing in like the early days of trying to get a piece in 95 or 96. I think over the years, people have gotten a lot friendlier and I think the love and loyalty has kind of, been part of the MO, thankfully, that people are, it's a culture and it's a lifestyle. But I think years ago, and it might have a little bit to do with the growth of the internet, just because I feel like back in the 90s, it was this like, you might try to, you know, take advantage of somebody, or you could rob somebody. You could do anything you wanted back then, and it was a little bit more of like, oh, he's not going to find me. Like, I met him on Broadway. He only has my beeper number. Like, I can, and not to say that I was doing this, but just the other way around, where it's like you had this fear of like, oh, I'm about to go meet this guy to buy this rugby shirt, and it's like, there was a little bit more of a risk, and you heard stories about people, who were just hungry for these things. So they might, try to sell you a fake piece or something like that. But I think since, I think in the last 10 or 15 years, things have gotten a lot more friendly, just where we're all just, members of this culture, and there's less about like, oh, I'm trying to take advantage of this kid. And we've all also grown up where it's like, we're not 16-year-olds trying to like steal
like
from
I'm not the dude that's gonna meet you now on the corner of like Fulton and so to pick up the teddy bear sweater, right? It's gonna be different. But to your point about that, in the early days, my other attraction to it was the timelessness of it, right? And a joke that cats used to tell, this is like the barbershop story, but these two dudes got locked up, right, for doing a similar crime, and they got locked up for like 5-6 years, right? And both of them are coming home at the same time, and one of them was a super low head, and the other one was the guy who followed whatever like the hot trend was, right? So they came home from jail around the same time, and the one dude had like Mecca and a Nietzsche and like those type of brands that were in and out really quickly, you know what I'm saying? And he was like struggling, looking goofy on the street, you know what I'm saying, with some South Pole, like jeans on. And the other dude who came home, who was a low head, just threw his clothes right back on. Right.
So he was dated versus a timelessness.
I mean, that's part of the legend of it. Is like people are coveting pieces from 92, you know what I'm saying? From like, you could put them on today and it's cracked. So there's that piece to it as well.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's a saying within fashion circles: trends come and go, but cool lasts forever. Right.
Yeah.
And Ezra, I know you've been in these circles and watching actually some videos of yours. I recognize it, some of your haunts, right? Like that, the one store. So, I did go to Brooklyn Tech. So Berman, who I know is a good friend of yours, is a friend of mine, and shout to Berman and shout to the all area crew. And I recognize, the shop where you go in that video to go procure the chenille letter patches to create the custom piece for him. That's like on I guess like 38th or 39th Street, right? And I've been in the fashion industry forever. Like that's kind of where I'm at, you know what I mean? Like that's a little bit of like my history. And so it's really just again, it furthers for me the sense of that community, right? Like we all kind of, if you're in this space, if you're in this, if you're in this like kind of frame of mind, the circles become tighter and tighter. With that, man, I want to kind of segue into the next portion of what I hoped this evening's program would be, which is kind of like an open forum and an open to discussion, like opportunity for some of the fans to step in and show some of their pieces and things of that nature. I've got in the gallery, or rather in the audience right now, is my man Alberto. So now these things, right? These, this kind of like affinity and this kind of this kind of like sense of community. It's one that, people from all walks of life, are have gravitated into it, right? Like you're almost like a member of this club, right? Without even, it might not necessarily be like the impetus that came from somebody else. Like you, Ezra, had an older brother. I have an older brother who definitely influenced my drip, you know what I'm saying? But I got a couple of these like childhood homies, right? Alberto, who's on screen, who actually apparently was, who you actually worked with at one time, Ezra.
And yo,
he
and frankly, the clothing is a language within itself, right? Because
it
when the
is.
young man walked away, and I saw that he has the Martini Bear sweater in the back, right? It's like that's a language. It's like a discussion piece. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It
For
speaks
sure.
without speaking. You know
For
what I mean?
sure.
Got the
And so
martini bear. I got
Yep.
the motorcycle turtleneck, and I'm holding
Yeah.
it down with my polo prints right here, David. Show
Oh,
me.
hey, what up,
Hey,
David? Welcome into the program, man. So
low down. Oh,
Share,
yo,
polo
pass-
game.
so
I'm passing the love down from one generation to the other.
it's only right,
That
bro. It's only right. So now a little bit of backstory, right? This brother Alberto and I have known each other since the second grade, yo.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting kind of thing where, again, like he and I were friends. We're friends since the second grade. We go to different high schools. Um, and our lives sort of diverge, right? And this is probably the first time I've seen him like face to face in, I don't know, since the time you came to my crib, right? When you were still living in
Wow.
Queens, which is almost like,
That was before I had him.
yeah, which is probably around the,
And he's
yeah,
10 years old.
exactly, which is probably around the, like just before me having my daughter. So I'm probably talking like 2007, 2008. But look at him, you know what I'm saying? Like, you see him, he's clearly a low head, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like, that's not because, like our paths towards this kind of like brand don't, they don't mirror each other, you know what I'm saying? Like he was off doing his thing and I've been off doing my thing. And yet, we're two Queens kids who are, as we like to call it, dripaholics, right? Or diplomats, as the term was coined last night, right? And so here he is, you know what I mean? Yo, and so I kind of just want to, I'm happy that he's here with us, bro. It's great to see you. Happy New Year to you. Best to
Happy New
you
Year
and your
to you and your
family.
family.
Appreciate you, bro. And so like I wanted to open up this next portion of the program with kind of like spotlighting him. And I'm gonna
Yeah,
play something right
let him
now.
show some pieces too.
Hang on, hang on, hang on. I got something for you guys. So what I'm about to share right now is a video. And by the way, let me take a moment to shout all the low heads who have pulled up. Let me shout out my brother Olivier Bro, who is representing EOW Quebec. Let me not make the mistake of saying Canada because Montreal kids don't fade that. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my brother Kivas, who's out there rocking the low hat and the low zip up. Shout out to where's my man Raphael 514, who's another low head from Canada.
No, bro, no, low life, bro, low life.
Official low life. Excuse me, Raphael.
Thurston Howell and Disco and Uncle. These people got me on, man. I'm OG, man.
That's amazing, bro. That's amazing. Here's my
Sorry,
son.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
Nah, you good, baby. You good. Ça va. C'est pas, y a pas, y a pas de problème.
That's okay, man.
Yeah, man. So shout to you. But what I want to show you guys really quickly is something. So I had reached out and again in the lead up to doing the program, I had reached out to my peoples that I know are low heads worldwide. And this brother who we're about to take a look at is actually a friend of both Alberto and I. They kind of knew each other before I did. And again, I've known them all since the second grade. This is my man who again is another Queens kid, second grade friend, just like Al is. And I wanted him to take part in the program this evening. He was not able to because he's got some like work commitments that he had to attend to, but he was kind enough to kind of create a little something to share with us. So here we go. Give me a second. Oops.
No sound though.
You don't hear it?
Nah.
Oops, my bad. Let me stop the share. Go back. My apologies. My bad. Oh, there we go. Share computer sound. Here we go. All right, my mistake, gentlemen. Here we go.
How you doing? Welcome, EO Dub, watchers,
Good.
listeners, loyal fans. My name is Ron Valdez, aka Ron Low, aka Low Ron Hubbard. Welcome to my Polo Paradise. So my boys at EO Dub decided to do an E-Low Dub edition, asked me to speak to y'all about the polo culture, everything we do and what it's all about. Speak a little bit about my personal experience. So let me tell you a little bit about where I come from. I'm from Queens, New York. I was born in '78. So really, I got onto this low culture late. I got introduced to it when I was in high school. I went to an all-Catholic boys' high school. My boys went to school in Brooklyn. They went to school in the Bronx. They were in Manhattan. These niggas I grew up with. Now they come back and they're showing me and putting me on all this stuff. And I'm excited about it, but you know, I come from a family that wasn't even trying to buy me that shit. And I wasn't about stealing. I had to be a good boy. But once I graduated high school, shit fucking changed. I was able to get money the way I wanted to. I was able to wear the shit that I wanted to. I was able to buy the shit that I wanted to. And I engorged myself in that low life culture. I started trying to cop as much shit as I could. I was meeting other low lives. It was a great fucking time. This is a culture, love and loyalty. We all love each other. This is a world. How you doing?
Whoop. My bad. That I didn't realize that one cut off. Give me a quick second. I got another one.
That's dope though. You feel the energy. You feel where he's from. We call out the year and that he's from Queens and like the lines connect, right? Catholic high school, you know, stuck wearing XYZ uniform, but fiending to rock that low shit. Like
Yo,
all
we go all yeah, we definitely all relate to that. The Catholic high school aspect of it though is one that I think it enhances almost, right? Because the Catholic high school kids, right? Al, you went to Catholic high school, right?
I went to Catholic high school, and our dress down days, oh my God, you better come through tight with your pieces or else you getting the Zach. I'm telling you. You come through with some busy bee, Main Street Flushing type thing, you're getting laughed at.
But it also opened up an opportunity for you guys to kind of wear some low on like a day-to-day basis too, no? Because like, you know, you guys had to wear button-ups, right? You know what I mean? You guys had
Well, my school, we had to wear plain white button down. So really, that's all you had to do. That's all you got is that plain white. But on those dress down days, I was hitting up, you know, I had my pieces. I was hitting up my man. You remember Kenji? I was hitting up Ken
for sure
pieces and just rotating everybody who was my size for pieces for my dress down days.
Right. Yo, that's killer, yo. My bad. I just queued up the second portion. He had sent me one video and it was a complete thing, but I think that the quality wasn't as good on it. So he broke it down into a couple of different pieces. So give me a quick second. Oops. Oh, there we go. That's what I needed to do. Cool. And back to the share. Computer sound. We are Gucci. Here we go. So I asked him if he would be so kind as to, you know, this was actually his idea, was to create a video to take part of the program. So this is him showing some of his pieces.
I'm not going to debut it for a while, but it's so beautiful. I had to show y'all. Get the nice short sleeve polo with the rugby players. I'm going to kill them in the spring. You already know. Oh, yeah, we low lives, we show off. So, you know, I had to wear the cut off flag gloves just because we show offs. Had to show y'all that. This one is a very special one. This is a classic cut 2-button polo, long sleeve, a one of one that I created at the Polo Custom Store. So no one will ever have this shirt ever.
ever. It's a beautiful item. It's another one I wanted to show y'all. This is a really old wool knit dog sled sweater. I wear it every Christmas for years and years and years. One of my favorites. I take care of it. Very, very special to me. So, you know, you can see there's a lot of passion, there's a lot of heart into this. You know, these EOW dudes, they're gonna put you on gradually. They're gonna let you know how deep this is. I know they're gonna go deep with it because I know they're gonna get a high response from all of this. And let me tell you, one last thing before we go, guys. We're gonna go into my closet real quick. I wanna show y'all one thing. EOW, much love. Thanks for having me on. We love you. I love y'all. Y'all already know we go back 20 years and better. But one last thing before we go in the closet. Go blue shirts, baby.
Yo, that was just a quick stunt from him at the last little bit right there, man. But and I actually messed up. There was another portion of the video. I'll cue it up in a second, but I want to open it up to the people.
Oh, can I say something real quick?
Please do, brother.
Full disclosure, one of my bear knits that I have, I got it from Ron. He couldn't pay me. I beat him. He was in the hole $120 on CeeLo. And I was like, you know what? Keep the. I'm not gonna take the cash. Let me get one of the bear knits, and that's how I got one of my first bear knits.
Yo, that's gonna be a hit, man. When I go back at him, when I talk to him about tonight's episode, man, I'm gonna definitely broach the subject. So, if there's anybody out there that wants to, you know, aside from Alberto, appreciate you, my brother, man, for pulling up. Yo, it's great to see you. As I said, Ezra, I appreciate you, man. Ezra, really quick, man, you got a bucket hat, don't you? That you created that we need to see, man. You and I are gonna have to kind of get together and figure out some things, bro. Nah, you're good, man. We're gonna have to figure out some things, bro, because I gotta get with you, bro.
Yeah, we made a few bucket hats a few years ago. This is the first time we made these ones with a little bit of basically just a 2-color piece. So you know, this is the royal blue version, and yeah, these are all made in Brooklyn. I'm very happy with the way these came out. With the inside tape and the light blue or sky blue sweatband, made in USA tag right there. No, these are unfortunately due to COVID, these were like still in production during the summer, but you know, yeah, we have these on the site now, and there's gonna be a few more colors coming out in time for spring. So get ready for the boating. For the boat photo shoot.
Fire. Let me know, man. Let me know. I'd love to pull up. Is my man Berman gonna be the one doing your art direction on that?
Yeah, exactly. Shout out to Berman. Berman's been a friend since, you know, 95, right around there when we met. And we've been friends. And but he's also made a lot of you know, the great video and multimedia pieces that we've put together on YouTube from that cut and sew varsity jacket that you mentioned, to, you know, pretty much any little video I've put on the internet. You know, Berman and all area crew has been production team. So shout out to Berman.
Fire, bro. Yo, Raphael 514, man, you got a couple of pieces you want to show. I know you mentioned in the chat you had something that you wanted to say, you wanted to chime in. And I know you got some pieces, bro. What you
well, here's the issue though. I just want to say peace to Ezra, man. Long time no see, long time no talk.
Yeah, what's up, man?
I'm good, man. Ezra came down to Montreal a couple of years back with some other friends from NY, and we just putzed around the city and shit. And so it was a good time. I'm at my girl's house, man. This is what I got on. I got no clothes here, so I can't show you guys. I can't show you guys nothing. And honestly, you know, I'm humble. I got rid of a lot of pieces last year. Stuff from the 90s that just was not a fit for me no more. And I got down with the reseller over here who had a young crew with him, like that was into polo. So every piece had a history, you know. So it was dope in that manner. So they really valued it for that. So I got rid of a lot of stuff. But I just wanted to correct something that I said earlier that I don't want anything misconstrued. I said OG. I'm not from OG from the era back then. I was brought into the fold about 6 years ago, but I lived in New York in those days. I wasn't a lowlife. But I'm from that era. I won't reveal my age, but I'm up there with the best of y'all. That's right. So we're coming up with that culture, and then being in New York was what I was always seeing from a distance. But then coming back from Montreal, and I was a hip hop artist too in the '90s. Still not as active, and all these MCs that I came up with, watching Sadat, Brand New, all those guys, and now are my peoples. I go down to New York, and a lot of these guys are lowlives. And so they brought us these guys from Canada who kept going down to events. And Sadat X, funny story, the first time we met, he thought we were already lowlives, and he asked me to throw up L's, and I'm like, I can't. But
you can't
he's
do
like, throw up your L's. So we threw up the L's. And a year later we were in the fold. Yeah, no, but it's all right. A year later it was in the fold. We were embraced lovely by the OGs. Big has down there, Rack Low. But we're not internet low lives. I want everybody to know that this wasn't something that was given to us over the internet. We had two OGs give us our L's in person.
Facts.
So anybody that doesn't get that, you could be in the fold and shit, but official L's are given to you by the OGs in person.
Hell yeah. So if you would indulge us, Raphael, what is your illest story? Like what piece, like give us one of your best stories as far as a piece that you did the most to procure, or whatever. What's your best low procurement story, or your best
my best
I've been searching for this for years and I got it, like whatever.
Was me not even knowing, because being in Canada, man, and there was I moved back in the late 90s, shit like that. So there was a lot that here Polo didn't get. It wasn't available. There's no internet yet. So all this bad shit. And so I go visit and I'm like, where's this come from? What is this? We can't get it here. So when I'm brought into the fold, I'm out there visiting. We have this big meeting at Dinosaur Barbecue in Harlem. All the lowlives, well, a lot representatives from each faction within New York is there.
Right.
So fucking everybody's got their plastic bags ready to do trades. And then they just brought me to the car and popped up the trunk, man. And there was a shield, boy, the cop shield shit, and that. And they're like, all right, young blood, what you want there? Look, this is my man's here. This was his. He boosted this there. They gave me the story for the same shit that I passed on. So that was that. It was the shield low. I still got it. That ain't going nowhere.
Amazing, man.
And they let me cut. I had to pay. They let me cop for it, but it was such a low price. It was like $40, man. So to me, I'm just word, but you low life. They just brought you in, So, and then, man, I can't front, man. Like, when they put out "Bury Me with the Low" book on, and we were waiting on the book, and I'm trying to reach out to Thirst.
Talking about that yesterday.
Thirst just sent us patches out because we couldn't get the bag. Word, that's the book right there. So before we get the bag, I'll get my mail. Fuck Thirst with the patch, so we can all represent with the patch. So the love and loyalty shit is for real, for real, for real. I've had low lives come from different places, from New Jersey. Sue Works came to do Under Pressure in Montreal. I never met the man. He stayed in my house because we low life. Right. And we have it's such a beautiful, beautiful community. The strife life that's still there on the side, but the brothers in the community, man, we have our differences, but the love and loyalty behind the culture is there.
Sure.
Everything, so but I invite everybody, man. Low heads, you're invited to all our conversations, all our events. This is where we're at now with this movement. It's so worldwide, man. We just took over South America, bro. They took Low Life Mexico is going bananas. I invite everyone.
One that my man Ron was putting me on to, yo.
No, they came on like boom, and they're like fire, man. Photo shoots and shit. Like, but it came so fast. So I would like to invite, first of all, everyone to, if you're interested in anything that I'm doing, check me out on Instagram. That's where I do most of my shit. It's Raphael514, aka Raph Lauren.
All right, that's dope.
Because you can.
Drop your socials in the chat, man.
I will.
Please.
I can't front. I just got new to Zoom with all this COVID shit, so still getting used to it. And thank you for having us on. I'm going to be a permanent fixture, Dub.
Dope.
Olivier put me on. And you guys are down with all my people, man. Billion Man, my man,
Billion Man Rebellion.
That's right,
Absolutely.
man. That's my peoples, man. Love them. Their material is so solid. So I'm gonna be a fixture, man. You're gonna see me. I'm around anytime you guys want any time for me to chime in. Just let me know, man.
That's amazing.
It's my pleasure.
Man.
There's gonna be a lot of shit popping, I think, for hip hop, for all of us in terms of what's going on with all this COVID. We got time to produce.
That's amazing, bro. Yo, just a heads up, Julio. I know you're on the cameras, bro. My computer is a little bit on low battery, so if this the Dub Chronicles profile goes down, it looks like I'm safe for now. If the Dub Chronicles goes down, switch over to the Dubcavist. I got that camera, I got that popping over there. I appreciate it. If we could also, Julio, could we clean up the screen a little bit? Let's bring it back to myself, Zoo, and Ezra. Is there anybody out there? Zoo, I know you got a couple of pieces, man, that you want to share with us. There's a particular piece that's been conversed about recently that I definitely want to see. But before we go there, I got one thing, right? I got a couple of things sitting around here, right? But there's this one thing that I want to bust out. And I've had this since my high school days. And ladies and gentlemen, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention, we are basically, this is Dubbin in the Crates, the special ELO Dub edition. This evening, we are keeping you company up until the 9 o'clock hour, at which time, and this was actually only supposed to go for an hour, man. So it's amazing. And I appreciate you guys for sticking around, especially Ezra. Thank you so much. Zoo, I love you. Nothing but love for you, my brother. We're basically just keeping you guys company until 9 o'clock when the open mic is ready to start. And so the story that I was telling earlier about my homie who fleeced me, that I didn't know, was how badly I was being fleeced until, 20 years later. And if anybody missed that, I traded the polo cycle hat, the classic iconic polo cycle hat, the multicolored stretch back, for the USA stretch back, as well as USA polo. And I tremendously regret executing that trade. But later on, I guess he kind of also felt bad about fleecing me the way that he did. And so he gave me these Croakies. This is an original RL 2000 Croakies, right? RL 2000, the iconic like RL 2000, like almost like cleaner for what was considered a cleaner font for polo back then. And these are my son's glasses. So I don't even think like my son even realizes like, my man Al was on camera earlier and he was saying how he's passing it down. And my children are no different. They might not realize the importance of what, I'm passing down to them. But, I got a piece like this, which is, again, official tissue from 1995, I want to say, something like that.
Yeah, those are awesome, man.
Yo, bro, and it was such, he had, Ralph. One thing about Ralph has always been a visionary, right? And if you are familiar with him and his design processes, like that's what he does. He doesn't create like a line in the traditional way that designers do. He creates a story, right? He sets a mood for his designers and he tells them, he paints a picture, right? Much like a rapper paints a picture with their lyrics, right? He creates a picture for his designers to design into, and then like, all kinds of shit gets thrown to the wall and some of those things stick. So the RL 2000, he was prescient and clairvoyant enough to say to himself, with Y2K coming around the bend, like, let me capitalize on this. So like, polo heads know, like low heads know, 92, 93. It was like this whole thing, right? And he kept going. He kept doing 92, 93, 94, all the way up until 96. And then 96 comes around, or really 95, 96. It kind of like straddles the line. 95, 96 comes around and he instantaneously like does a pivot and goes in another direction and says, yo, RL 2000. And like,
yep.
It's like, oh my God, RL 2000, like I gotta go get it, you know what I'm saying? And I know I know, Ezra, I've seen in your collection you got the famous ski coat, right? The RL two
Yeah.
thousand ski coat. Again, which is not to be confused with the ski that was just recently re-released, right? But kind of like it encapsulates a moment in time, I think.
Yeah, and
Um,
you said something interesting there, because to a lot of the Grail level heads, they don't respect when he re-puts the shit out, right? Like you don't respect like the next line or what have you. But
right,
for a person like myself, A, who lived through those days when they were there, and B, who now have some of those pieces been introduced in the big and tall
right,
arena, I'm
right.
still copping those. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like some of those pieces I'm still copping. And the errors hit me in different ways too, because I did go through a whole broke period, as a college student, where it
sure.
wasn't no low coming my way for a long time. You know what I'm saying? Where I was rubbing nickels together to get some like chicken wings on a college campus. If you've been to,
Facts.
to school and you learn how to be broke and stretch the money, then I was still broke for a long time teaching. But along the way, what's interesting, Ezra was saying how he collects pieces. What's so interesting is, as the years have progressed, even my casual clothing would just be low, right? Like, so I
Right.
started teaching and I would have button ups, so then they just all became low. And then I was a school principal and I would have suits and I would have ties and handkerchiefs, and they would just all be low. And then I became a consultant about 6 years ago, and I'm more
Right.
free with what I can wear, and I tend to not dress all the way up to suit and tie. So then it was like V-neck cashmere sweaters and just little, button-ups beneath it and different twists like that, and rugbies and things that could cross over. So frankly,
Yeah.
my closet kind of runs the gamut in the realm. In the song I joke and I say my underwear and sock game, lovely.
Lovely for sure.
Closet, comfy. It's
Comfy.
just because it has just moved into that realm too. Like if I'm buying socks, why they should just be loaded, right? Even my, like,
Nah.
down to my dress socks and stuff. So that's where I've gone sometimes with my pieces.
Yeah, no, I feel I dig it 100%. It's gotten to the point for me where I almost wear low accidentally.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's not like, you know what I mean? Like I'm not like I got I got a pair of polo sweatpants that are like my kick around the house sweatpants, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, yo, like who does that? You know what I'm saying?
Right?
But
You mean
Same.
that's not the only thing you have to wear? I only have
nah.
polo. I can't put nothing else.
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
I got suits. I
Exactly.
got suits that ain't polo. That's about it.
Hilarious, yo. Zoo. I'd like to. I'm gonna pivot to Olivier, Montreal Olivier, in a second. But if you would be so kind, sir, do you have the Grail with you? Is the
Which
is
piece? You talking about
the
the coat?
the Dallas pen
It's
procured
upstairs. If
coat?
it's real, if you really want to see it, I will go get it. I just brought down some fun pieces
What you
tonight,
got?
and in
Just
the
show us.
meanwhile, I'll go get that while you have the next brother speak. Right.
Yep.
And frankly, I just bought some pieces just randomly that are like fun to me and that mean different things and what have you. So for a while, as I mentioned, I'll collect knits, right?
Yeah.
And I just like the little different exotic logos, right? I like the
Mm-hmm.
little stitchings here and there. This one I actually copped at a spot called the Low End Theory that they were having like Midtown one time. They've had them multiple times, but Pumpkinhead was alive at the time, and you know, I just remember that event because he was there with me. You know what I'm saying? You fast forward, this might be like 2 years ago. This is just unique. It's something that my wife and daughters bought for me, right? It's like a weird all-terrain piece, right? When I wear it, it's almost like a coat. There's no hood on it. It's a cow neck with the strings. It has the logos down the sleeve. It has colored patches, and it has a zip, this orange piece zip, but it's also like you could put your hands in it.
Is
And
that the
it's
nylon? Is that pouch the nylon overlay?
yes, it is. It
It is the
is
nylon,
nylon.
right? Yeah,
Yep.
man. You're
And
damn right
this
it
is
is.
some polo terrain piece, right? I
Yeah.
also like there's a whole period in my polo collecting. It still exists now in that I'm really just trying to collect unique patches and logos and pieces, right? I started getting into that where I just wanted to see logos and patches that I haven't seen. So I got an
Mm-hmm.
eBay dude that I bang with who will sometimes pull big and tall pieces for me. And this is almost, it's like the rugby collar but peep that patch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is like I got this maybe 3 weeks ago, but this is definitely vintage, right? And again a patch I haven't seen before.
Zoo, if you would, before you go on to your next item, right? Indulge me for a moment, right, on that last piece, right? Now, a lot of times people say, you could have a similar item, that doesn't cost you as much, right? Or that you don't have to bang your head against the wall as much, to kind of like seek these items out. Would you kindly stick your hand inside the shirt, or rather invert the shirt so that we could see the quality of the workmanship
Oh
behind
man,
that patch? Because that for me is what sets these garments apart. And Ezra, I'm sure you sympathize or empathize with that statement,
that's
right?
the
it's
actual
it's
inside.
the yeah, it's the quality, man. It's the workmanship, it's the craftsmanship, right? Because like you could, yeah, sure, I could have something that looks like low. Number one,
It is.
it's not gonna say low on it, and number two, it's not gonna last me as long.
Well, see, that's the other piece. And anytime that over the years when my wife has had issues with my purchasing, right? The one other thing I could land on is the quality of it, right?
Right,
Like I've been this size for like 15 years. I could put these clothes on like anytime. You know what I'm saying?
right.
Like these pieces are incredibly durable. And even these that I often cop, well, from more trusted people like online or what have you, they're um they're thorough. This is one that's almost a reminiscent of that hill figure era that we were talking about, or this
Color
the
blocks.
place where we saw um Puba rocking the original Alpine and like that climb version, right? Like this is the big and tall version of it, right? But the colors I love, the popping of the colors are just smooth, the blocking, and it's a polo high tech item. But again, they started making them for big and tall dudes just a few years ago. So these color block ones, like to me, this is incredibly reminiscent of like that Alpine Puba piece, right? Like this
For
is from
sure.
that same vein. And
For
then
sure.
lastly, I brought a rugby. This is arguably one of my favorite pieces, and it's hard to explain to you. I might have to show it to you when you're physically here, oh, so you can
Mm-hmm.
feel it. But
Mm-hmm.
it's a rugby piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
With
there's
the
this,
wafering inside, man.
yes, man,
Yeah,
and
that's like
there's
you can play
this
rugby for real in that shit.
for real in that shit.
Yeah.
This shit up here,
Yeah.
this piece that I'm showing you, it feels again almost like I have a coat on. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
It
yeah,
got
it's
to
like
the point.
cushioning.
Yo, it got to the point where this, when I was doing these runs, I'm a education consultant now, and rather than wear a coat in these like springy times when I would hop in and out of planes, it would be this joint. You know what I'm saying? And it's super crossover because I could now go lead, like run and go lead professional development with this on. You know what I'm saying? It's
Right.
that crossover piece, but it's also meets my desire to have these unique patches. You know what I mean?
If
For
I
sure.
may, because you're a professional, so sometimes you have to have some sort of dressing attire that's appropriate. We could go back to the preppy look, and you could have a button up with a tie and the Oxford collar, and then have your rugby over it with the
Come
collar
on, sir.
open.
Come
You
on,
know,
sir.
you know.
Please
I'm
speak
just
to me.
saying.
Talk to
I'm
me,
just
bro.
saying.
You must
And
have been in my closet.
no,
Yo.
because I'm in the same situation, so I know business sometimes, but I like to keep it like that. You keep it fresh but still classic. And the other thing I
Yeah.
So
like to say is, I like to call it, maybe it's a fashion term, I'm not sure, but it's a lifetime brand. It
it
can last
is.
you a lifetime.
It is.
So
It
that's
is.
that's the that's
It
where your
is.
money's worth.
Yo, Ezra. Of I encourage anyone who's listening, I encourage anyone who's watching to go out there, check out EzraWine.com, do some research on this gentleman, explore a little bit of his collection. It is probably the penultimate polo collection on the planet right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry. Oh, I know this is super self promotion, but Ezra, I want you to remember me. I want you to look at the camera,
Yes.
remember who I am.
I'm remembering you, man. I see you
when
with the
I when I
quilter.
when I reach out to you personally or DM you or what have you, I want to work with you. I'm already I see sheets in my future because I don't have
Yeah.
those yet, and I
Yeah.
already have some masks, but you have multiples and the bucket hat, I think. And then I'm gonna ask you about people that you may know who have pieces that might have some sizes like that. So just my
Exactly.
name is Zoo,
Yeah,
and
man.
I'm great to meet you. And sorry,
Yeah, man. No, I'm glad to meet you too, man. Let's talk, man. We can.
Zoo, I can help too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And shout out to
respect.
Raph, man. Raph gave me and my friends an awesome Montreal tour a few years back. That was awesome, man.
And
That's
I'm glad
dope,
to see.
man.
I'm glad to see our friend in common is doing back. Is going back in his work, man. We know what we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly, man.
Yeah.
Exactly. No,
Well,
everybody's.
but definitely Zoo, man. If you, I got people in and around you that can help you find some big and tall, and you go straight to, it's a neighborhood thing. You go face to face.
Yo,
You won't get jacked.
nah,
I need
nobody's
that
jacket
big and
Zoo.
tall
I'll tell you
too,
that.
man. That
Yo,
big and tall.
fact.
I'm 6'3", 260. I'm with you, Zoo.
Yeah, ain't nobody jacking you. But
Yo,
yeah, no, we got people your size, bro. We got people your size. So just reach out on IG.
Yeah. I
Gentlemen, if I
already
may.
got you. And I just want to say one thing, Ezra. I'm sorry if I didn't say hi to you when I first got on. But let me tell you, this brother's a cool dude. When I first met him was through a friend of a friend, and I thought I was going to just be able to trade with this dude. And I saw his collection. I'm like, yo, I can't mess. This guy is just way over what I was thinking, and just much props to him. I'm just.
Thank you, man. Thank
I,
you, Alberto. Alberto's one of the first people to purchase one of the bear button-ups.
Yo,
Yeah,
he actually referenced that. He told me today. He sent me a DM. He was like, "Yo, I don't know if I told you, but I used to work with Ezra, and I bought. He made me a shirt, one of the first Polo Bear shirts, I guess, that you made. It's one of the first things that he copped, or maybe the first thing that he copped from you. Made out of one of those bed sheets, man. Two things. Is anybody else out there in the audience that wants to show a piece or tell a story or anything like that? Just drop it in the chat and I'll get right to you. Ezra, I wanted to ask, what is your personal favorite piece? Like in your entire collection, like what is your how in sports they say this guy got a no trade clause, right? He's untouchable, right? Like what's the piece for you that is untouchable?
Yeah, I got to give it to the Silk Crest. The Silk Crest is a funky shirt. It's the story is that it might have been created as a women's item. It's a kind of has like a rugby shirt cut. 2-button pullover. And it's definitely, it's not an oversized piece. So unfortunately, it's not like something that is the most comfy thing to wear, but it does fit me. And I was, after chasing this piece for, 10 years, just asking all these different heads that I knew, like trying to buy this. I want to do a trade for this or whatever it might be. So yeah, it was the Silk Crest, and that's what I was chasing for many years. And I was lucky enough to finally be able to do a deal with somebody who was getting rid of a few pieces at the time. So the Silk Crest is definitely my grail, and it's definitely my fave. And it's wild style. It's luxury, but it's a funky shirt. I'll give it to that.
In your face luxury.
Can I tell you, for me as a big and tall guy, for me, my favorites are probably my teddy bear sweaters. And part of it, again, is built into how I couldn't get them for so long. You know what I'm saying? For years and years, there wasn't like a 2XL or a 3XL teddy bear sweater to even be had. So I would kind of look at them from afar and be like, fuck, like,
have you ever heard of the people stretching them out?
I have.
Like XLs into double XLs.
Somebody once upon a time at one of those low events was trying to sell me on the fact that it was an XL, but it would stretch out to fit me, and I wasn't going for it. Now they do stretch.
They do
frankly,
stretch, but you're losing some quality.
Correct. So after hunting down some teddy bear, like my first one, I was so excited when I got it. Now I think I have 3, but those probably are my favorite. But my grail, though, and I want to throw this out to y'all out there, just frankly, as you have the moment to share it. But during the Snow Beach era, right? And I'm not talking about the pullover joint that Raekwon had on in the Can It Be So Simple video. There's actually a hoodie, right? It's a Snow Beach hoodie. It's blue and like an army green. There's definitely a hood to it. I believe it has a small American flag, and it definitely has a small Snow Beach patch, right? Once upon a time, I was working with DJ Eclipse on his radio show, and Mayhem came in and was the guest for the night, but Mayhem's man had the sweater on. and I had the sweatshirt on, and I'm like, yeah, I wanted to buy that shit off his body, yo. That's the one for me. I was
Yo,
straight like, what you want to do for that? That's the one that I really like.
my man that submitted the video to me, and that's my mistake, and I made an error, an editing error on the programming side. But he has what you don't see, and toward the end of that video, you see that he's like laying some stuff out on his bed. He has an Indian head M65 that he shows in that video, where he tells the story. He's like, yo, I was sitting at a bar one day. He sees a 50 something year old man wearing this Indian head M65, and he's like, yo, he's thinking to himself like, yo, this dude has no concept of like what he has on his back, you know what I'm saying? And so fast forward like a few drinks later, whatever, he basically talked the older gentleman into selling him this Indian head M65 off his back, which is by far one of my favorite things that I've heard in the lead up to this program. I'm gonna wrap up in a few minutes. Ezra, man, I wonder if you would be so kind as to maybe come back with and chop it up with us at a later date.
Yeah.
Awesome, bro. And one of the things, kind of like, since nobody chimed in, nobody piped up and said anything about wanting to show anything. Again, if you're just checking in, we've got some people that are coming into the space right now in the lead up for the open mic, and I'm gonna wrap in a second. This is Dubbin in the Crates, the special ELO dub edition. We are having a conversation with Ezra Wine of EzraWine.com. Polo, world-renowned polo collector and purveyor and provider to the stars. We've also been chopping it up with Super Zoo. If you don't, or if you haven't heard already, check out your favorite streaming platforms. No Be So Fierce is the album.
Right.
The reason that we had him on this evening was because of two specific tracks, The Butters and Sauce It Up. Zoo, what you got to say for me?
That this is the infamous quote, y'all. Ladies and gentlemen.
Wait, hold on, because I got a personal favor, right? There's a little story of my own, right? So like, few years back, I got a good friend of mine, who was working for Ralph. He was in the production department. He was responsible for all the trims, right? Like that was his thing. He did all the trims, all the zippers, all the buttons, all the threading, all the fabrication, like all the intricacies of all the different pieces. Because of my relationship with him, I was able to, and Ezra, you could attest to this, the annual Ralph Lauren sample sale in a low life's world.
That's
right?
the real one of ones.
You know what I'm saying? Like when when you're a player on a team and you get traded from your team that you've been on forever, right? And then your schedule comes out the next year, you circle that date, right? As far as like, yo, I'm gonna be playing against the Knicks, on December 25th or whatever the case might be, right? So, and as you know, the polo sample sale always takes place basically like a week or two. It takes place, or normally in a pre-COVID world, it would take place in the lead up to the Christmas holiday. So I was fortunate enough while my friend was working there and as you know, if you're an employee or the friend of an employee, easy pass your way in, right? You bypass that whole like nonsense, right? Because if you're walking anywhere around like Herald Square at the time that the sample sale is going on, right on 8th Avenue, just across the street from what is now the new Penn Station, the former post office, that is where they would traditionally hold the sample sale. So I'm in there. I fortunately get the easy pass into the sample sale on this one occasion, and it's about 8:50. We're gonna go about 6 more minutes and wrap it up in preparation for the open mic. Ezra, I don't know if you got the time. I know your lady's probably killing you, bro, about having been on here for almost 2 hours at this point. We apologize to Randy. We appreciate Randy. She's the best. Thank you. So absolutely. Thank you for lending us your man for this extended period of time. Yeah, we really appreciate it. And Happy New Year and all the best to you. So I'm in this polo sample sale. I got the easy pass. I'm in there, and I'm floating around and I'm picking up different items and things of that nature. And I see, like a basket that has all these like, nondescript items. There's nothing specific in it, right? And I'm digging, and I find this item, and when I bought it, again, like I said, it's the lead up to the Christmas holiday. And when I bought it, I had the intention of potentially giving it away as a Christmas gift to somebody, whatever. But the dripaholic in me wouldn't let me go. Wouldn't allow me to let it go. And so I just want to make sure that I'm holding it correctly. And so I went and I found this and I copped it, even though I had no idea what I was going to do with it.
Wow.
I don't think I ever seen that one.
Yo, dude.
I ain't never seen it.
It's been in the cut, yo. So this is like, and if you can see, it says Ralph. Like it's this, it's this huge.
Is that a scarf?
That's yeah, exactly. Well, we don't know if it's for a lady. It's a scarf. It's a scarf. It's made it's a scarf.
It's an incredible scarf.
It's an incredible scarf. It says Ralph. It's made in my favorite color.
I hope y'all know that people have taken multiple scarves and had shirts made of them.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I'm sorry.
What's the fabric?
100% silk. Am I speaking to Elba right now? Is this Elba I'm talking to? What's up, sis? How you feeling? Happy New Year to you and yours, yo. This is 100% silk. I imagine that it was made with the intent of being worn for a woman, but things are androgynous nowadays. People are straddling the line, but I mean, beyond that, like, the polo scarf has always been a thing for low lives as well. And so, Ezra, man, I guess what I'm asking is, would you be so kind as to help me out into turning this scarf into some kind of exclusive item?
Yeah, definitely. No, it's as Raph said, it definitely. I mean, you can make something out of that. You can definitely make a shirt out of it. Obviously, if you have 2 scarves or maybe even 3 scarves, you can, probably make a full button-down shirt. But yeah, you could definitely, we could definitely cut and sew something to make it work.
That's amazing.
But it's also a beautiful scarf as is. I mean, that's the problem.
Is.
Like,
I know.
Like, I might hang that up. That's like some memorabilia finest.
Hey,
I know. Let's
keep it there in case one day you want to cash it in for some other items. You can trade that in
that's
too,
a
man.
That's a fact, yo. That's a fact, yo.
That's multiple items.
You're 100% correct, yo. And I want to let you guys know, and this I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm gonna tell it. I'm gonna tell it to the world. It's 100% silk. It was made in Italy, and I copped this for the tender price of
$30.
$30. All right.
Excellent.
Very nice.
Yo, it is amazing because when you consider that these scarves, like if you walk into even a Macy's, right, and pick up a silk, 100% silk polo scarf made in Italy, you're definitely not paying $30. You're paying upwards of 4 or 5 times that, right? It is 8:53, ladies and gentlemen. This is Dubbin in the Crates. This has been the ELO Dub edition. Our guest this evening has been Ezra Wine of EzraWine.com. Check him out. Our other special guest has been Big Zoo with the album, his solo debut album. For all the years that Zoo has been rhyming, this is the first time that he put out an actual solo album. It's No Be So Fierce. Please check that out on all of your favorite streaming platforms.
And this coat,
show us, please. We're gonna wrap with this coat.
All right, so your friends, the universe conspires to align with your desires, right? So I'm a low head, everybody knows it. The god that is Vanguard, I believe he's on here now, also known as HR, my friend for many, many, many years. He hits me up and he's like, yo, I got something for you, come through. And it's for the Christmas present. And it's definitely the super black polo sport snorkel, right? This is definitely the OG version with the straight fur detachable collar with the Velcro and the button on it. Yo, I also, I was talking about logos. I love like the ghost logos. Like the shit says Polo Sport and it's like black on black. So this is a thorough black coat. Pockets and zippers galore. Oh, I put that in there. Oops, excuse me. Oops.
That's a different show, dude. That's
the pharmacy out. Yo, mad zippers, pockets. And you know what's the only shame? Well, I guess good and bad. It hasn't been brick enough for me to even put this on. This coat is like having another human body on top of your body. You know what I'm saying? It's a hard body snorkel from the 90s. It's Thoromatic, and I got it for the beautiful price of $3.99 as a gift. As a gift from Vanguard. Yo, Oh,
Yo,
thank you so much for having me on here, bro. God bless you. The
nah, thank
RL
you.
candle that I lit for you tonight.
All
Yo,
right.
this was great. Great time to share and meet different people and express the low love. You heard?
The low love, you heard? The low love, the high low love. Yo, salute to Bikos, Bernadakis. Yo, again, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Dubbin in the Craze, the special ELO dub edition with our special guest Ezra Wine of EzraWine.com. Please check him out. Please check out, like I said, the No Be So Fierce album by Big Zoo. Ezra has already committed to potentially, well, he's gonna come back another time, man. We'll
I'm gonna
figure
come
it out.
back. Yep.
Yo, we appreciate you, man. Cops and masks, ladies and gentlemen. Don't be like a geek. You know what I'm saying? Wear something stylish. Wear like a statement. You know what I mean? Appreciate that, Ezra. Yo, so Ezra just dropped his link to his Big Cartel retail page in the chat. Go follow that. Go check it out. Follow his Instagram. And be inspired, if nothing else. You know what I'm saying? And ladies and gentlemen, I love you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Put your best foot forward all day at Sunzu7. Also, this is going to be like a continuing thing. Ezra has already agreed to come back at a later date. Follow me at the Dub Chronicles. DM me some pictures, DM me some stories, share with me, tag us, whatever. Tag Ezra. I'm sure he wouldn't object to it. And yo, man, peace and love, man. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. And Ezra, bro, thank you so much, man. I seriously can't thank you enough. That's right, bro. Throw up those V's, man.
Yeah, man. Peace. 2Ls. Thank you guys for having me. This was awesome. And yeah, man. Happy New Year. Everybody stay safe. Be well
bro,
in
stay safe.
2021 and beyond.
Yeah, bro. I'll be in touch, man. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Appreciate your time. Have a great Sunday evening. The EOW flagship program, the end of the week open mic comes up next. Hope you'll stick around. I'm gonna grab some dinner, but I will be playing it in the background. One love.
Fam. Yeah. Low heads. Respect.